All right, part two, guys. So, probably at the lowest point in my life. Spent a crazy couple days out on the street, going through all that. Watch part one if you haven't seen what I'm talking about. So, progressing forward, I was trying to walk up to this place where I knew I could get some help, and it was like basically a rehabilitation center that they knew me, they knew the places I've been, and what God had done in my life, and it's like basically my only source of hope. And so I was like trying to get up there. So I'm in the city and it's up kind of in the hills, and it was like a walk. And like I said, I'm dehydrated. I'm like barefoot. I'm just going through it. And every step was like tough. So I'm in like the downtown area, and I'm looking for like a shortcut. So I see this kind of like an overpass that starts going into the hills. And I found out this doesn't even connect to where I was trying to go. So I'm just like basically spinning my tires, spending all this energy that I don't have, trying to get back to this place, and it wasn't even gonna work. So I'm walking up this overpass, and I'm just like, I'm looking off it and contemplating, jumping off it, because of like just the shame, the guilt, the depression, the confusion, everything, the anger, everything I was going through was just like, I was getting attacked so bad that I was kind of just in a state of like giving up, And so if you're in that state, you gotta reach out to God. You gotta surrender it all, and God will work it out. But stop stomping in your pride, going in the same direction. You gotta turn around. And so I didn't make that decision, but God brought that decision to me, and it was like, that's what I'm saying. This the mercy in this whole story is just crazy. So I'm looking off it, and like I'm kind of like thinking about it for a few moments, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. And it kind of scared me. I'm like, I can't believe this is what I'm thinking right now, because I've never been at that place. Even going through all the stuff I've been through, I've always like had hope. And so I had a little bit of hope, but I was just like, I'm not giving up yet, So at this point, I'm like, okay, I got to keep walking through this neighborhood and try to make it up to this place where I could get some help. And eventually I find out it doesn't connect, and there's a couple points where I have to just, like, every step is hard because I'm dehydrated, I'm detoxing, all this stuff. So like I was like sitting down at points and just like, trying to gather my strength, but strength isn't coming. And so this is where I make a really bad decision. And so I'm going to tell this story like it happened, but I want you guys to know I didn't plan on doing this. And it was like a spur of the moment decision and desperation of like, all right, if I don't get help, if I don't get out of where I'm at, I'm going to die today. Like, that's how I felt. So I knock on this house. Don't know whose house it is, right? And a lady answers, and I'm like, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. And I look super crazy, right? Like, no one's gonna give me a ride, but I'm not in my right frame of mind. So like, I'm like, hey, I was wondering if you could give me a ride. And she's like, no, like, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I can't. Which is super reasonable. And so like, I understood that even at the time. I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay, see you later. And she starts shutting the door, and it's like, I saw these keys that were sitting right next to the door, like on the inside of the door. And I didn't even have time to think about it, but before I even knew why I was grabbing it, it was like desperation. Like, I seen these keys, it was like my ticket out, because I'm like, I'm gonna die today, right? So I grabbed these keys before she could shut the door, like kind of like nudge the door open, grab these keys, and like I'm like doot doot. Her car's in the driveway. I take this lady's car. Oh my gosh. So I steal this car. And it's like, it's crazy because I have this like numbness about it all, and it's like I would never do that. That's so crazy. Like right in front of someone, take their car and think I'm gonna get away with it or something, you know? But God was gonna use all this, you know? And I'll explain how it all shook out. But so now I'm in this car. I've been up for days. Like I said, my state is terrible. And I drive around this neighborhood. I kind of get lost up there, and because I'm not familiar with it. Eventually, I go back down the overpass that I walked up through, that I was looking over. And when I get down there, there's 2 police vehicles down there, and I'm like, okay, they already know I stole this, and they turn on their lights and sirens, and I'm like, vroom, I fly through them, and it's like it's a newer car too. It was like a newer Subaru, maybe like in the last couple years. So I get past the police. Eventually, they're chasing me through town. I go through a few red lights. I'm driving just super crazy, you guys. And it's a miracle I didn't crash or anything. Eventually, I get away from them. I drove up to that place that I was talking about, that I was trying to reach, and then when I get up there, I'm like, it starts hitting me. I'm like, I'm in a stolen vehicle right now. Like, I just left this place a few days ago, and I'll just think better of like showing up there with a stolen car, obviously. So I'm driving this car, and so I decided to pull away from there and just keep going. And when I'm in this car, I'm not obeying any traffic laws, like at all. Like any car that's in front of me, I'm pulling around. I'm going to opposite lanes. I'm just like kind of in a state of just like fleeing, you know, even though there's no cops behind me. Like I'm driving super nuts, just trying to get out of there. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, like my addiction's driving now, you know. And now I'm like, I'm gonna go back up to this camp and see if I can do something. And so I get on the freeway, and again on the freeway, I'm going on the shoulder. I'm going through every lane. I'm speeding. I clipped people's mirrors with the car that I was driving. Like our mirrors like slapped together. That shows you how crazy I was driving. Like people were honking at me and stuff, and it was just like, what was crazy is I drove like 30 minutes on the freeway and through town again without the cops getting back on me. Nothing. Like it was, and I feel like that was supernatural too, because I wasn't gonna stop. Like they were gonna have to make me stop. So I'm gonna cut this one here. Sorry to build the suspense, but yeah, I want these to be short. So I'll get in what happened next. As you can see by the title of this video, yep, got a little incident coming, but God worked it all out. So that's the point of this story, and how he worked it out was just crazy. So I'm probably gonna have to do like 6 parts to this. So part 3 is coming next.